So our next speakers are Faith Chamberlain and Kevin Cruickshank. They're going to talk about shifting from Coca-Cola to just and humane food and beverage procurement. So team, take it away.
Hi, my name's Faith.
I'm Keira.
And we are representatives of Sustainable Student Action, which is a student organization at Seattle University that is focused on anti-racist environmental justice, solidarity, and sustainability. In the past, our group has worked on divestment as well as encouraging green retirement plans for our faculty. And now we are focusing on procurement at Seattle University, and we will tell you about why we should end our contract with Coca-Cola and shift to more just and humane procurement. So Seattle University signed a 10-year contract with Coca-Cola in 2013 that states that 90% of beverages must be purchased from Coca-Cola. In addition, many of the products that are sold in the Cave and in C Street are Coca-Cola company products. Examples of these companies are on the bottom of the screen. And as a consequence of this, only about 0.7% of our procurement on campus comes from partners that are classified as diverse suppliers. And there's also a small proportion of our partners that are local to our Seattle area. And so our partnership with Coca-Cola is both unsustainable and unethical.
Some of the reasons why Coca-Cola is unsustainable and unethical has to do with their environmental and social impacts. So in an audit by Break Free from Plastic, they were noted as the #1 top global polluter. And this was specifically in production and consumer pollution, in which plastic products from Coca-Cola are the highest represented within plastic pollution. But the company itself does also contribute to pollution. They have historically been known to pollute and deplete groundwater and wells in rural communities and especially farming communities in India. And what this does is they deplete water sources and then also dry up wells and water so that farming is no longer tenable in the land where they have built. A few years ago, Plachimada refused to renew their license because Coca-Cola was illegally overusing and contaminating their water resources. So that was one example of a successful campaign against Coca-Cola in these communities. They have also created water shortages in India, El Salvador, and Mexico. And often what they do is they take water because Coca-Cola products use a lot of water. It takes about 3 liters of water to make 1 liter of Coke. And they also bottle water. So they will take water and then sell it back to these communities in the form of bottled water at a price they can no longer afford. And so Coca-Cola's abuses especially affect poor, majority world, and indigenous communities, both because these communities are taking the brunt of climate change already, but also because Coca-Cola specifically builds within these communities because they are vulnerable and do not often have the social and political power to combat this institution. And they also have a history of labor and human rights violations. They have been for decades accused of kidnapping, torturing, and murdering union officials in Colombia, Guatemala, Mexico, and Turkey. And so the history of union murders in Latin America is that for many decades since the 90s, paramilitary groups have been responsible for the deaths of hundreds of union workers in Latin America, not just the Coca-Cola plant. But in 2003, the Coca-Cola company was sued by the food and drink union Sinaltranal for allegedly employing illegal paramilitary groups to intimidate, threaten, and kill its workers at its Colombian plants. And this was at a time when the workers were unionizing, and there was a lot of effort around unions, and suddenly the leaders of the union began to show up murdered. In 2004, Human Rights Watch reported that Coca-Cola's sugarcane supplier in El Salvador used child labor, which they claim to not know about. And over the last few decades, the campaign to stop Killer Coke has been a transnational response to these human rights violations that are both working to educate and also combat the efforts of the Coca-Cola company. So if you want to find out information, you can go to killercoke.org.
And so there is a history of universities responding to Coca-Cola's actions. In the early to mid 2000s, there were a lot of movements in colleges across the world that were in response to labor rights violations, specifically protests and boycotts at University College Dublin and UC Berkeley received a lot of press attention. And Bard College and Lake Forest College have terminated their contracts with Coca-Cola in response to these labor rights violations. And so this is just to say that there is a precedent for ethical procurement that Seattle University can follow in the footsteps of. Our contract with Coca-Cola ends in 2023. So this is a unique moment for us to make the choice to transition to more just and sustainable procurement. So our ask of the university is that we do not renew our contract with Coca-Cola in 2023.
Instead, we would like the university to partner with local Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQ+, and female-owned small businesses, both to support the local community that we know Seattle University has a large impact on, and to allow for increased percentage of diversity suppliers within their procurement.
And so this will need to be a partnership between Chartwell's and the procurement office to work together to find solutions and food sources that are both sustainable and ethical.
And additionally to all this, the food must be financially accessible to students, and our procurement must be ethical in order to enact a just and humane world, which is one of the tenets of our university. So if you are interested in learning more, or if you're interested in some of the sources that we talked about today, please feel free to contact us. Thank you so much for coming to our presentation. You can reach out to either Faith or me, or you can email sustainablestudentaction@gmail.com if you want more information, or if you are interested or passionate about this, this campaign, then feel free to contact us and we'd love to send you more information. Thank you very much.